I'm run a couple hundred cows north of Fort Collins, seed stock operation. We call it Altenburg Super Baldy Ranch. It is multiple breeds. We run Simmental and Black and Red Angus, and we try to provide seed stock for commercial producers that are made up of Simmental and Black and Red Angus. We're about 2/3 black, 1/3 red, and we try to provide bulls for cattlemen in western Nebraska, southern Wyoming, and of course Colorado.
So I suppose that heterosis is a big emphasis for a lot of your producers.
Well, that's our goal, is to provide crossbreeding. We believe in what crossbreeding can provide to producers. It's not a free lunch, but it's awful close. You get a 25% kick with crossbreeding, especially the crossbred cow, and so we think that Angus and Simmental make a really good crossbred kind of a rotation, and so that's the basis of our operation.
Excellent. I wonder if you could just summarize a little bit of what you discussed yesterday. You talked about some of the demand in some of the major beef countries, beef exporting countries in particular, but in South America, Australia, Canada, just looking at some of the trends in demand for genetics and so some of the direction that they're going with the genetic selection in some of those countries. And I know you talked quite a bit about Brazil and Argentina, and really wonder if you could just summarize a few of the key points from what you talked about yesterday.
Sure, John. I work in artificial insemination for Genex, and the global marketplace is one of the areas that I try to help manage. And you mentioned South America. Argentina and Brazil are two of the biggest countries that we work with, and of course, huge countries. You put those together, they're bigger than the United States, and their cattle populations are bigger than the United States when you put them together, almost double in size of our cattle populations. They love our genetics. We send a lot of Angus and Hereford, both red and black Angus there for crossbreeding purposes. One of the interesting breeds there is the Nelore, which people here in the United States would think as Brahman, but it makes up part of the Brahman breed, but it's much different. It is a Bos Indicus cattle, and they use our Angus and Hereford to add meat eating quality, so it's a crossbreeding system using the Nelore. It's very interesting, but they love our genetics and use them artificially there. So it's a great, interesting pair of countries to work with.
You mentioned that they prefer to use AI in that kind of a breeding system because the English cattle just aren't well adapted to that tropical and extremely hot environment.
Well, especially in the north, in the Amazon region, it becomes very hot. I was there and it was 110 degrees and 100% humidity, and the Nelore cattle are out eating in the hot sun, and they're adapted to that. But the English cattle don't work very well there, so the best way to deliver a breeding program is through artificial insemination, and so they have the labor and they have the synchronization systems in order to get those Nelore cattle bred artificially, and so that's how they deliver the semen to the cows, and 5 million units of semen go in there each year. They actually breed more cows in Brazil than we do in the United States through AI.
So I guess the idea that some of these countries are behind us in maybe falling behind in some of their management and genetics is maybe a misconception on the part of a lot of us here in the United States who haven't had the chance to visit and see some of the cattle production in those countries firsthand.
It's kind of interesting. One day I was there, and I wished I'd had my camera that day, but there was actually an ox cart going down a trail, and in the back of it had a semen tank. It was they are behind in some technology, but they're ahead in others.